The first story, The Ghostly Bartender of Silver Moon Tavern. In the heart of the small town of Brookside, there was a historic bar called the Silver Moon Tavern. Built in the early 1900s, it was a place where locals gathered to unwind, share stories, and enjoy live music. The tavern had a reputation for its friendly atmosphere and unique, handcrafted cocktails. But in the spring of 2024, the Silver Moon Tavern became infamous for the eerie presence of a ghostly bartender. Emma, the current owner, had inherited the tavern from her grandfather. She loved the place and had spent years preserving its charm while adding her own modern touches. One night, after a particularly busy evening, Emma stayed late to clean up. As she wiped down the bar, she noticed a shadowy figure at the far end of the room. Thinking it was one of the patrons who had stayed behind, she called out, but there was no response. The figure vanished, leaving Emma puzzled and a little uneasy. Over the next few weeks, strange things started happening. Bottles would rearrange themselves on the shelves, glasses would slide across the bar, and Emma often felt a cold draft, even when the doors and windows were closed. The staff began to share their own experiences of seeing a ghostly figure, always appearing late at night when the bar was nearly empty. Determined to understand what was happening, Emma decided to do some research. She discovered that the tavern had once been run by a man named Jack Sullivan, a well-loved bartender who was known for his charm and skill in mixing drinks. Tragically, Jack had died in the tavern during a robbery in the 1940s. His death had been a shock to the community, and many believed his spirit still lingered in the place he loved. Emma decided to reach out to a local paranormal investigator, a woman named Sarah, who had a reputation for helping restless spirits. One evening, after closing, Sarah and her team set up their equipment in the tavern. They placed cameras and audio recorders around the bar and used an array of ghost hunting tools. As they began their investigation, the room grew colder. The team captured faint whispers and the sound of clinking glasses on their audio recorders. Then, on one of the cameras, they saw a faint, translucent figure moving behind the bar. It was the unmistakable shape of a man in old-fashioned bartender attire, meticulously arranging bottles and wiping down the counter. Sarah tried to communicate with the spirit, asking if it was Jack. The air seemed to grow heavier, and suddenly, an old, dusty bottle of whiskey fell from the shelf, landing gently on the bar. Emma recognized the bottle. It had been one of Jack's favorite brands, long since discontinued. Realizing that Jack's spirit was trying to communicate, Emma decided to honor him in a special way. She created a signature cocktail called Jack's Legacy, using the same whiskey that had fallen from the shelf. She placed a plaque behind the bar with Jack's story, ensuring that his memory would live on. From that night on, the haunting ceased. The Silver Moon Tavern returned to its lively, welcoming atmosphere, with patrons enjoying the new cocktail and sharing stories about the ghostly bartender. Emma often told Jack's tale to newcomers, and Jack's Legacy became the most popular drink on the menu. The Silver Moon Tavern thrived, not just as a place for great drinks and good company, but as a place where the past was remembered and honored. Jack's spirit, once restless, found peace knowing that he was still a part of the tavern he loved. The second story, The Mysterious Baker of Rosewood Caff. Rosewood Caff, nestled in the heart of a quaint village, was famous for its aromatic coffee and delectable pastries. The caff had been a local favorite for decades, attracting visitors with its cozy atmosphere and mouth-watering baked goods. However, in the autumn of 2023, the caff became the center of chilling rumors and eerie tales. The new owner, Lily, had recently taken over Rosewood Caff from her aunt. Lily was a talented baker with dreams of expanding the menu and bringing new life to the establishment. One evening, as she was experimenting with recipes in the kitchen, she noticed something odd. A freshly baked batch of cookies had vanished from the cooling rack. Assuming one of the staff had moved them, she didn't think much of it. The next night, however, Lily heard faint humming coming from the kitchen after closing. She cautiously entered, expecting to find an intruder. Instead, she was met with the smell of freshly baked bread and the sight of a shadowy figure near the oven. The figure, a woman in an old-fashioned apron, was busy kneading dough. When Lily called out, the figure disappeared, leaving behind a perfectly shaped loaf of bread. Perplexed, Lily asked her staff if they had experienced anything unusual. To her surprise, they had also seen the mysterious baker, who always appeared when the cafe was empty. Intrigued and slightly unnerved, Lily decided to investigate the cafe's history. She discovered that in the 1940s, Rosewood Cafe had been owned by a woman named Margaret, a skilled and passionate baker who was known for her secret recipes. Margaret had died suddenly in the cafe's kitchen, and it was rumored that her spirit still lingered, watching over her beloved bakery. Determined to uncover the truth, Lily invited a local historian and a medium to help. Together, they explored the cafe's attic and found an old, dusty recipe book filled with Margaret's handwriting. The medium, Emily, conducted a séance in the kitchen to communicate with Margaret's spirit. During the séance, the temperature dropped, and a faint scent of vanilla filled the air. Emily closed her eyes and began to speak in a voice that was not her own. She recounted Margaret's story, her love for baking, her sudden death, and her worry that her cherished recipes would be forgotten. Moved by Margaret's tale, Lily decided to honor her memory. She introduced a special section on the menu called Margaret's Classics, featuring the recipes from the old book. She also placed a framed photo of Margaret in the cafe, along with a brief story about her life and legacy. From that moment on, the mysterious occurrences ceased. The cafe thrived, and Margaret's Classics became a huge hit with customers. The cozy atmosphere seemed warmer, as if Margaret's spirit was content knowing her recipes were being enjoyed once more. Lily often shared Margaret's story with patrons, celebrating the cafe's rich history and the talented baker whose love for her craft transcended time. Rosewood Cafe remained a beloved part of the village, a place where the past and present coexisted harmoniously, and where the legacy of a dedicated baker lived on in every bite. Third story, the specter of the old Lighthouse Cafe. Perched on the rugged coastline of a sleepy seaside town, the old Lighthouse Cafe was a quaint eatery known for its panoramic ocean views and seafood delicacies. The cafe was located in a repurposed lighthouse, which had stood for over a century, guiding ships safely to shore. In the summer of 2024, however, the cafe gained notoriety for an otherworldly presence that turned it into a local legend. The new owner, Daniel, had always dreamed of owning a restaurant by the sea. He fell in love with the old lighthouse and its storied history, deciding to transform it into a unique dining experience. Despite the building's charm, the locals warned him of the lighthouse's ghostly past. They spoke of Captain William, a former lighthouse keeper who had mysteriously vanished one stormy night in the 1930s, his body never found. Daniel dismissed these tales as folklore until one foggy evening when he was closing up. As he turned off the lights, he noticed a dim, flickering glow coming from the lighthouse tower. Thinking he had left a light on, he climbed the narrow staircase to investigate. To his astonishment, he saw the figure of a man in an old sea captain's uniform, standing by the lantern, peering out into the foggy night. When Daniel called out, the figure turned and vanished, leaving only the faint scent of sea salt in the air. The next morning, Daniel shared his experience with his staff, who revealed their own encounters: cold drafts, the sound of footsteps echoing in the empty tower, and the occasional sighting of the captain's ghostly figure. Determined to understand, Daniel delved into the lighthouse's history. He discovered that Captain William had been a dedicated lighthouse keeper, known for his unwavering commitment to his duties. On the night of his disappearance, he had been alone, tending to the lighthouse during a fierce storm. Some believed he had been swept away by the waves while trying to rescue a ship in distress. Intrigued and moved by the captain's story, Daniel decided to pay tribute to the lost keeper. He created a special corner in the caf dedicated to Captain William, complete with old photographs, nautical memorabilia, and a detailed account of his life and mysterious disappearance. He also named a signature dish, Captain's Catch, in his honor, featuring the freshest seafood from the local waters. To further honor the captain, Daniel invited a local historian and a medium to conduct a séance in the lighthouse tower. On a quiet night, they gathered with a few trusted staff members. The medium, Claire, began by calling out to Captain William, asking for his presence. The room grew colder, and the light of the lantern flickered. Claire spoke in a soft, steady voice, recounting the night of the storm. Through her, Captain William expressed his lingering worry about the ships and sailors he had sworn to protect. He felt trapped, unable to move on until he knew they were safe. Daniel assured the captain that the lighthouse had continued to guide ships safely long after his disappearance, and that his legacy lived on through the caf. As Claire conveyed this message, a warm, peaceful light filled the tower. The ghostly presence of Captain William seemed to acknowledge their words before slowly fading away. From that night on, the eerie occurrences ceased. The old lighthouse caf flourished, drawing visitors intrigued by the story of Captain William. The Captain's Catch became a favorite among patrons, and the tribute corner served as a poignant reminder of the lighthouse keeper's dedication. Daniel often shared the story with guests, celebrating the history and the spectral guardian who had watched over the lighthouse for so many years. The old lighthouse caf remained a beacon of warmth and hospitality, where the past and present melded seamlessly, and the spirit of Captain William finally found peace. Fourth story, the ghostly conductor of Harmony Bistro. In the heart of the bustling city of Arcadia, Harmony Bistro was a beloved spot for music lovers and food enthusiasts alike. The bistro, housed in a beautifully restored 19th century building, had once been a concert hall. Known for its live performances and exquisite dishes, Harmony Bistro had an air of old-world charm that drew patrons from near and far. However, in the spring of 2024, the bistro became famous for its ghostly encounters. Sophia, the new owner, had always been enchanted by the history of Harmony Bistro. She had grown up hearing tales of the grand concerts held there and the legendary musicians who had graced its stage. Sophia took great pride in maintaining the bistro's rich musical heritage, often hosting live performances by local bands and classical musicians. One evening, after a particularly lively jazz performance, Sophia stayed late to close up. As she was locking the doors, she heard the faint sound of a piano playing from the main dining area. Curious and a bit unnerved, she walked back to find an old, dusty grand piano she had never seen before, standing in the corner. The keys moved as if played by invisible hands, producing a hauntingly beautiful melody. Sophia watched in awe and fear as the ghostly music filled the room. When the melody ended, the piano lid slowly closed, and the room fell silent. The next morning, Sophia shared her experience with her staff, who revealed that they too had heard unexplained music and seen the ghostly figure of a man dressed in a conductor's suit. Determined to uncover the truth, Sophia delved into the bistro's history. She learned that in the early 1900s, the concert hall had been managed by a brilliant but eccentric conductor named Alexander Russo. Russo was known for his passion for music and his ability to bring out the best in his musicians. Tragically, he had died suddenly during a performance, collapsing on stage while conducting his final symphony. Sophia was intrigued and decided to honor the memory of the enigmatic conductor. She reached out to a local historian and a paranormal investigator to help her understand the phenomena. Together, they organized a special evening to commemorate Alexandre Russo, inviting musicians to perform his final symphony. On the night of the event, the bistro was filled with patrons eager to experience the concert. As the orchestra played the first notes of Russo's symphony, a chill swept through the room. The lights dimmed, and a ghostly figure appeared on stage. It was Alexandre Russo, conducting the musicians with the same fervor and precision he had been known for in life. The audience watched in awe as the ghostly conductor led the orchestra through the symphony. The music was more beautiful and haunting than anyone had ever heard, as if Russo's spirit was pouring his soul into every note. When the final chord echoed through the bistro, the figure of Russo bowed gracefully and vanished, leaving behind an air of peace and fulfillment. From that night on, the ghostly encounters at Harmony Bistro ceased. The grand piano remained, but its keys never moved on their own again. Sophia dedicated a corner of the bistro to Alexandre Russo, displaying old photographs and memorabilia from his time as the conductor. She also made it a tradition to host an annual concert in his honor, celebrating his contributions to the world of music. Harmony Bistro thrived, not just as a restaurant, but as a place where the past and present harmonized perfectly. Patrons came not only for the food and music, but also for the rich history and the story of the ghostly conductor who had once brought music to life in that very hall. Sophia often shared Russo's tale with new visitors, ensuring that his legacy and his love for music would never be forgotten. Fifth story, the Enchanted Bakery of Willowbrook. In the quaint village of Willowbrook, there stood a charming little bakery called Enchanting Delights. Known for its delectable pastries and warm, inviting atmosphere, the bakery was a cherished part of the community. The building had been a bakery for over a century, passed down through generations. However, in the fall of 2024, Enchanting Delights became known for something far more mysterious than its mouth-watering treats. Mia, the current owner, had inherited the bakery from her grandmother, who had always spoken of the magic in their family recipes. Mia loved the stories but never took them seriously. That changed one crisp October evening. As she was closing up, Mia heard the faint sound of a child giggling coming from the kitchen. Puzzled, she followed the sound and found nothing but a trail of flour leading to the pantry. The next day, her assistant Sarah mentioned seeing a small, ghostly figure darting through the storeroom. Sarah described it as a little girl in an old-fashioned dress, her laughter echoing through the room. Determined to uncover the truth, Mia began researching the bakery's history. She discovered that in the early 1900s, the bakery had been owned by a woman named Eleanor and her young daughter, Lily. Tragically, Lily had died of a sudden illness, and Eleanor, heartbroken, closed the bakery for several years. When she finally reopened, she dedicated her life to baking in memory of her daughter, infusing her love and grief into every recipe. Mia felt a deep connection to Eleanor and Lily, sensing their presence in the bakery. She decided to honor their memory by creating a special line of pastries called Lily's Favorites, based on recipes she found in an old family cookbook. Each pastry was crafted with care, using ingredients that Eleanor had favored. One evening, as Mia was perfecting a batch of Lily's favorite lemon tarts, she felt a sudden chill. The lights flickered, and the scent of freshly baked bread filled the air. She turned to see a faint, glowing figure of a little girl, watching her with a gentle smile. The girl pointed to a jar of lavender on the shelf, a final touch Mia had forgotten in the recipe. With trembling hands, Mia added the lavender, and the figure slowly faded, leaving behind a sense of warmth and peace. The next day, the lemon tarts were a huge hit with customers, who praised their unique and delightful flavor. Word of the ghostly encounter spread, and people from neighboring towns flocked to Enchanting Delights, eager to taste the magical pastries. To further honor Lily and Eleanor, Mia set up a small display in the bakery, sharing their story with visitors. She included old photographs, handwritten recipes, and a touching account of their lives and love for baking. She also made it a tradition to bake Lily's favorites every year on the anniversary of her death, inviting the community to join in a celebration of their legacy. From that time on, the bakery flourished, not just as a place for delicious treats, but as a beacon of love, memory, and a touch of the supernatural. The presence of Lily and Eleanor became a comforting part of the bakery's charm, their spirits finally at peace, knowing they were remembered and cherished. Enchanting Delights continued to thrive, a magical place where the past and present intertwined, and the love of a mother and daughter lived on in every sweet creation. Mia often shared the story of Lily and Eleanor with her customers, ensuring their legacy would never be forgotten, and their enchanted bakery would remain a cherished part of Willowbrook for generations to come. Sixth story, The Haunting of the Grand Oak Hotel. Nestled in a picturesque valley, the Grand Oak Hotel was a luxurious retreat known for its elegant architecture and breathtaking views. Built in the early 1900s, the hotel had a rich history, hosting numerous dignitaries and celebrities over the decades. Despite its grandeur, the hotel had a chilling secret that came to light in the winter of 2024. The new manager, Rachel, had recently taken over the hotel, excited to maintain its reputation and charm. One evening, as she was overseeing a special gala in the grand ballroom, she received a strange phone call from a guest complaining about unexplained noises in their room. Rachel assured the guest it was likely a mechanical issue and sent maintenance to check it out. As the gala continued, Rachel noticed a series of odd occurrences. Chandeliers flickered, cold drafts swept through the ballroom, and she caught glimpses of a shadowy figure moving in the periphery of her vision. Determined to get to the bottom of it, Rachel decided to investigate the hotel's history. She learned that in the 1920s, the hotel had been owned by a wealthy couple, Evelyn and Henry Collins. They were known for their lavish parties and charitable endeavors. However, their happiness was marred by tragedy when their only child, a young girl named Clara, mysteriously vanished one stormy night. Despite extensive searches, Clara was never found, and Evelyn and Henry were left heartbroken. The couple lived out their days in grief, and their spirits were said to haunt the hotel, seeking their lost daughter. Rachel was deeply moved by the story and decided to honor the Collins family. She contacted a local historian and a paranormal expert to help her understand and, if possible, ease the spirits' unrest. They conducted a séance in the old library, which was rumored to be one of Clara's favorite places. During the séance, the temperature dropped dramatically, and the room was filled with a melancholic atmosphere. The medium, Laura, contacted the spirits of Evelyn, Henry, and Clara. Through Laura, the spirits conveyed their sorrow and their longing for closure. They were trapped in their grief, unable to move on without knowing what happened to Clara. Moved by their plight, Rachel organized a memorial event for the Collins family, inviting guests to learn about their story and contribute to a charity for missing children. The event was held in the ballroom, where Clara had once played, and included a tribute to her memory with photographs, letters, and a dedicated donation box. During the event, as Rachel spoke of the Collins family's legacy and the importance of helping others, a warm, peaceful presence seemed to fill the room. The eerie occurrences ceased, and the hotel returned to its tranquil state. The Collins family's spirits appeared to have found solace, their story honored and their memory cherished. The Grand Oak Hotel continued to be a place of luxury and elegance, but now it also carried a sense of historical significance and compassion. Rachel often shared the story of Evelyn, Henry, and Clara with guests, ensuring their legacy was remembered and celebrated. The hotel thrived, not only for its opulence, but also for its connection to the past, where the spirits of a grieving family had finally found peace.